Hello everyone to this presentation about how we generated 153K in the first year by expanding from Amazon to Shopify. In this presentation, I would like to share with you our learnings that we had during this journey. So let's dive into it right away. So before we start, here we go. Here's a little bit about ourselves. This is our team. We are Wonder Ads. We are a European-based company out of Estonia, Tallinn. Right now, there are multiple people working with us. In total, we are a headcount of 8. I only put the most beautiful people on this slide. So myself, I have been, I'm originally from Germany, and I came to Taiwan in 2010. Where I'm living, where I'm married, and where I'm planning to stay for a longer time. And our agency is helping e-commerce clients to scale their business through Google Ads and landing page optimization. We have not only helped startups, but also worked with corporate clients that we have some experience with dealing with. All right, so going to this case study here, I would like to first start to give you some background to get some better context on what's going on. The brand that we have helped, they are an accessory brand, and they're mainly operating out of Amazon EU, that's Pen EU, like all the mainland, plus the UK, as well as the United States and Canada. They had one goal in mind in 2020. And in the next slide, I will talk you a little bit why it makes sense to diversify platforms. So one goal is to expand to Shopify. Before that, Shopify was mainly a B2B channel that has been utilized. So the client himself, he would go to all those different trade shows to generate brick and mortar clients, basically. That was one of his earlier tactics. That eventually became a pain in the ass to manage all of those people because they're very traditional, very old mindset. If you're interested, I can later talk a bit more in the Q&A, but this is not so much topic of today's talk. So one important context is also that this business was all bootstrapped. There was no VC money, there was not other fundings and whatsoever. So that means that everything that we did had to be very efficient in order to bring us back an ROI, whether it was like investing in tools, investing in the website, investing into PPC and all this stuff. So during month 3, we already achieved a milestone of 15K. One of the big reasons is that Corona broke out. And because we did do this platform diversification, plus we had also multiple fulfillment partners set up. One main channel was via fulfillment by Amazon, the FBA channel. So we were hooking our Shopify through the system. But we had also an alternative system that we hooked to our Shopify site, which is basically a 3PL, a third-party provider for the distribution there. And that saved our ass. So why doing the platform diversification? First of all, Amazon is not really too bad to get started. Like a lot of my friends, they have started with relatively low funds with their own product businesses. Back in the years in 2014, it was like a gold rush. People could just start their businesses off from their homes and from basically working from anywhere, and they didn't need too much finances. Now the market has shifted, but it's still great to generate cash flow businesses. You can utilize the traffic and the whole platform that Amazon has created, which is really sort of easy. It's not always easy. No business is easy, but you don't have to worry a lot about all the other marketing related aspects, which I'm going to cover later in this presentation. But there's also threats. There are also many threats to it. So one big thing is, the biggest thing basically is the dependency on Amazon. you never know what can happen if Amazon decides that you have been doing a fraud when they're just like having a suspicion and they can shut down your account and whatnot. That's one of the biggest threats out there. Of course, then you have a lot of competitors coming into the market, and you don't have the ability to create marketing assets in terms of customer bases or like the Amazon ecospace is really difficult to connect to. So that makes it hard to build something outside. Here's a screenshot directly from the Shopify dashboard to show you the result, black and white basically. So a few other indicators is that we were able to slightly increase the conversion rate during the time, which really played in our cards, but we were also, the traffic really increased and blowed up, and also the sales here. One important aspect to notice here is the average order value is not low. It's also not a super high ticket item. It's around 96 euro. So it's not an impulsive buy. That had an impact on some of our marketing approaches. For example, with Facebook ads and so on, we could not make it immediately profitable. It was always a big threat. A big challenge, for us to deal with that. So we used a few other tactics, which I'm going to cover. So now I'm coming to the part of the presentation where I'd like to share with you some of the tips that we learned from this journey. First, let me show you or demonstrate you. This is like everyone knows the sell funnel, the AIDA funnel, which we were focusing basically only on the bottom of this funnel. Spending or generating awareness, interest, it sounds great, but we did not have a lot of the investment that goes into that initially. So we were counting a little bit on Amazon that we already created some awareness there, but then we were also utilizing some tactics first to make sure our bottom is optimized accordingly, that those actions can bring results. So what did we do to start out with? We were focusing, before we were running paid advertising and whatsoever, we were making sure that the store is stable, is kind of optimized. So because we did not have any data or very little data there, the only thing we could really do is going with the best practices. We got this information by doing a few things. Like we were doing our research, we were looking at a lot of blogs, videos, but also competitor sites. Competitor sites are okay. You can only formulate assumptions, you can get ideas. And then we were also going in other verticals, just in general, looking at stores in other industries that have been performing really well. And ultimately, we also got some courses. We invested into some knowledge there in order for us to ramp up our knowledge, and then we implemented that accordingly. There's two goals that ultimately lead into a higher conversion rate. Like the first goal is we want to increase the trust. The reason is that if you have a brick and mortar store, people can walk in, they can talk to the clerk, they get ideally a sense of the whole store. Once they get into, they can touch the textile, they can touch the products, whatever you are selling there, and they can build trust really naturally. You don't have that on a website. On a website, people go there, they don't know your brand, they don't know nothing. You can be a complete scam and they have no idea about it. So what can you do in order to increase the trust? You have to place certain indicators that I will talk about, that I will present to you in the next slide. A second goal is to reduce the friction. That's another philosophy of ours. So that doesn't only mean the customer experience, coming to the website, coming to the home page, going to the collection pages, product pages, and to the checkout in a very smooth way without much disturbances. It is also playing a role of the right psychology triggers, as well as anticipating the inner conversation already that they're having in their mind, and you want to tackle those questions, tackle those objections that they have. Later, I will also show you a quick demo sheet where a demo site from a brand that is doing a really great job with that. So a few actionable tips. For some of you, you might think, okay, I know those tips, but maybe you find one or two golden nuggets. I definitely came across a lot of websites that were not optimized, that they always have like 1, 2, 3 things that were missing. But here is just a very general guidance. So I'm assuming you're an absolute beginner and you don't know Shopify too much. So having reviews there and testimonials on the product pages or all over your website actually. And ideally you want to have images and videos. One great thing, if you have already an Amazon store, you probably already received some testimonials, as they are super important for Amazon, for all online e-commerce platforms and shops and what so on. You can grab those reviews. And what we did is like, we basically hired an assistant or so that went into the reviews and then kind of put everything into an Excel sheet that we could later implement or import into this app called Product Review App. There's a more advanced version. If you later get some sales in, I highly recommend you to upgrade into Stamped.io, because they implement also image and video testimonials as well. We call it the UGC, user generated content. And if you have a system that follows up with your people, with your shoppers, that is ultimately one of the greatest trust indicators that you can have on your website. In this example, you can see they even wrote a testimonials just below those star reviews, which is a very interesting tactic. FAQs, a lot of people have questions. You can have a dedicated section. We have been using a tool called Help Center. So another way to implement FAQs are within the product pages. So you can have product specific FAQs. Ideally, though, you want to already implement the frequently asked questions within the ad copy and address them there in a subtle way if you can do so. If not, having an FAQ is definitely a good route to go. Then, of course, having higher quality images that are zoomable. They need to be zoomable. I still see so many websites that they don't have zoomable images. People want to see the product. They're curious before they make this investment, before they purchase that, before they get this into their shopping cart. They want to see the product. And ideally, what Amazon is now also doing since a while already is like having those product videos, snippets, like just a few seconds where you show the product in use or in front of the camera. That would be cool. And here is a whole list. Basically, it's always great to get inspiration directly from Amazon. They have been testing for so many years, and their whole mindset is about conversion optimization and testing things. So benefit-driven bullet points are good. Having a cross-sell section to increase the average order value, or just making it easier for people to, if it's not the right product, to get inspired and what other customers bought. It's also a social proof indication. Display your shopping times and fees. And if you can, then offer free shipping. It's really essential, especially for clothes and textiles and fashion items, and for all other products actually as well. So having that is always a great conversion rate optimizer. Have an app for upsells. Like if you're spending money, you want to get the most possible ROI. So having an app there that can increase your average order value, like bold upsell or one-click upsell, those tools can help with you, can help to get the buck back that you're investing later. And some more advanced things. Some brands, they don't really do it on Amazon, but if you are independent, then it really makes sense to think about a brand story and use this branding to communicate it on all the marketing platforms as well. Whether it's like, of course, on your website, but then also with your ad copy, with your on your social media, on your email marketing and whatnot. If you can put a person before that, but think about it, if you want to sell this store at one point. So you need to make a good decision on what kind of branding you want to portray to your users. But you should have one brand strategy in mind. It will definitely help you to get people resonate with you easier. Now I'd like to show you an example of a good product page here, where I'm just showing you a few things. This is called Mantis Sleep. They're having those zoomable images here. They have like little product videos that I just talked about, a lot of social proof indicators. So here is a testimonial. Here are the review signs. Here are those benefit-driven bullet points. Here are payment process symbols. It's an interesting psychology. Once they are not there, the customer cannot really tell it, but it's like a vacuum in their mind. This actually really like puts some trust towards this button here. And it's one of the things that they have been studying about it, that this can make an effect on it. Having here the expectations like risk-free, warranty indicators, free shipping information in general. The whole structure of that product page is in a right and left alignment, as I call it. So it's here on the right, here on the left, and it's like very short paragraphs with a little headline and then 2 or 3 paragraphs using icons to highlight their USPs, videos to showcase the product, having infographics, and again, a lot of social proof here. Here's a very nice infographic, by the way, comparison model, mission statement. So that's here part of their branding. And here the king the king trust indicator, which is the social proof. And they have a very amazing system. One quick tip is just ask your friends and family if they already have been using your product. Of course, don't fake it. Don't get a fake review, but if they really like the product, then that's an easy call to just ask them if they're really convinced that your product is great. And then here they have just plenty of those because they incentivize the people accordingly. What you can see here is from the app stamped. So this is how it looks like. They have videos and images as well. And here they have an FAQ, a product specific FAQ section, as well as the customer, what other customers have bought, cross-sell variation. So let's go back to the presentation. All right. The next point in this presentation is about email marketing. So thanks to, and it's just loading right now, so thanks to Klaviyo, we used another inexpensive tactic in order for us to make sure that before we spend any PPC money, that we are getting the outcome accordingly. And Klaviyo is helping us with keeping the people or getting the people back to our Shopify site. So here we had like different flows, and basically what we did is we were focusing primarily on the 80-20. So one of the key flows is the so-called abandoned cart flow, which will get triggered if a shopper is going through the checkout, but then maybe something happened. Maybe the baby cries. Maybe there's an emergency. Maybe he's just getting distracted by another website or whatsoever. And the shopper will just leave the checkout process, and then he won't be coming back. So this abandoned cart flow will be triggered after an hour or after 4 hours. He or she will receive an email, and what follows then is like a discount ladder. So we will incentivize. We start out with a scarcity kind of discount offer, and then it goes up, and then like only 24 hours left and whatnot. So we have like a strategy in place for increasing the incentives here for a few steps, and also having a time pressure to it. The second one that we did is the post-purchase flow, with the intent also to increase our average order value here. Plus, we also had a call to action to leave a product review, which is actually working quite well. And yeah, so using that for cross-selling products and getting video testimonials. We would also ask them for video testimonials in that, but in our market, people, they don't really resonate with that, and we haven't really had the time to experiment too much with it. So the successes compared to Manta was so, not that successful, but it's definitely a tactic that I want to share because I feel it's like very powerful if that has been tested and if it's successful, because it can only increase your conversion rate. So the last flow is the so-called welcome flow. The welcome flow is like very, it's a very standard flow, which we offer a discount code for first-time visitors or first-time shoppers when they come to the site, and it's usually 10 or 15%. It can also be up to 20. It depends really on your products, but this is to get them on our email list, and usually, that is also giving them a little psychology trigger from Robert Caldiani, the power of influence. Those kind of triggers. So having that in place and then making sure throughout this flow that we introduce them to our brand with our brand story, with promoting our social medias, having content, nourish them, and then later in the sequence also having some stepstones to having some emails to then really go ahead and cross-sell and upsell them. So that's a really cool way to optimize your store before you run any kind of PPC marketing, which is tip number 3. So giving you context, we have been trying a lot of platforms. We have been trying Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, but there were a few things. We could never make Facebook really successful because maybe our brand, the average order value is quite high. So having Facebook where people are not really intended to shop, obviously it is the marketing platform in the e-commerce where it has been always promoted as the number one, and a lot of people go there as the first channel, but it's not always applicable for all the brands. In our case, we found out that actually Google Ads was very profitable, maybe also with the mix of our knowledge there. And this is where we then focused. We focused first on Google Ads and then ramped up the account. Plus then we expanded into Microsoft/Bing Ads to get even further, to get even more advantage. So just to give you a little idea on how it looks like, you probably might know it. So there's different channels within the Google Ads platform. There's Google Search, Shopping, and Google Display. There's also YouTube, which we have tried to explore, which was not running well for this. It runs very well for other clients, but for this particular client, it didn't work. Multiple reasons, but it's like very heavily based on the creative as well, like 60 to 70% creative based. However, all those other campaigns were really interesting and they work quite well. And within Wonder Ads, we call them the so-called tier 1 campaigns as Google Search, Google Shopping, and Google Display for remarketing. This is again how it looks like. And on the top, you have those shopping ads, basically the image ads from the product itself, and then the search ad supporting below. And the goal is really to gain a lot of the Google real estate, so people will find your offer, they will click on it and ideally purchase it. So a little bit about our strategy here. First, we had the chance, because we were running Amazon PPC before, which generated a huge database of keyword ideas. And we could just download it in a CSV file, analyze it, find those high performing keywords, and already put it into Google Ads. Of course, we made sure we used the keyword planner as well to kind of confirm the search volumes. And indeed, a lot of those words were working and performing well, while some of the keywords, they just didn't work because it's sometimes just platform related. And what works on Amazon, it does not necessarily need to work on other platforms as well. So always keep that in mind when you test multiple platforms. Like sometimes we think we can generate data at one platform and then apply it to another, but the dynamic might be just so different because the user behavior is so different and the intention of those users is so different and how the platform works is so different. So some things they're just not working. However, most of the stuff did work and we were really happy that we have that resource before. So, so to sum it up here, we optimized our store, we used a lot of social proof, we took cues from Amazon, then we set up our 80/20 email marketing campaigns, and we were running successfully Google Ads to get traffic to the store. Here at one of the last sheets, I would like to share with you some of the resources that we have been using, which I highly recommend. First of all, Ezra Firestone. He has this program called Smart Marketer, which is basically paid online courses for advanced knowledge. They have been covering email marketing for us, Facebook marketing, store optimization and whatnot. He is very knowledgeable. A lot of my e-commerce friends who are they're desiring to get into the 8 figures. They have been using that as a resource, as a main resource. So I highly recommend that as well. Then on the second path, I have Shopify Compass. Those are free courses. You actually can get a Ezra Firestone course there or two for free on Facebook marketing, but they also have like email marketing and optimizations and whatnot. So there's a lot of free materials there. And then one of my mentors, his name is Mike Rhodes from Australia, an Australian-based PPC expert. He is constantly being rated as one of the top 50 PPC experts in the world. I'm in his personal mastermind, a paid mastermind where you only get access to, when you're a member of that. So follow his stuff and courses if you want to gain more skill sets in this aspect. So thank you a lot. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. We offer free audits. We can give you help or just talk to me after this presentation. That's also good. Also, if you're interested, on our website, we're having an email opt-in where we're giving out a lot of value in terms of Google Ads marketing. So we have at least 3 cheat sheets that you get in the sequence, plus also other gimmicks. So make sure you subscribe or you opt in and leave your email there. Last but not least, thank you very much. And now we're turning over to the Q&A section. So thank you and goodbye.